Good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I am your host, Courtney C., a 27-year veteran of the media, and I am so happy to be able to bring you Crime Crunchies. So good evening, happy Sunday night. I hope everybody had the best America 250 for July 4th yesterday. I was asleep. I was in bed. I could not. But I hope you all had a great holiday and back to the grind. So tonight I want to dive into purely speculation, as I always say, but this is something we haven't talked about. What if Nancy never made it home that Friday or Saturday night? What if she never made it home? And I said Friday night. It seemed like it was Friday night, wasn't it? I don't know. I'm drawing it because I know it was Sunday when they found that she was gone. So maybe it was Saturday night. Had to have been Saturday night that they had game night. Okay. So anyway, it's not Crime Crunchies if Courtney doesn't have a brain fart. So good evening. Power went out in my brain. So all right. So let's just start tonight with the timeline. All right. We're just going to look at the timeline and we're just going to go through some scenarios. Okay. And I've started adding a disclaimer to my show notes because, again, this is for entertainment purposes only. I like going down rabbit holes. I like talking theories. I go down things that might be uncomfortable, but I feel like it's fair. We need to talk about it. Okay. Okay, so this is a timeline. Again, one of my lovely viewers, we'll call him JV. He put this together when we were doing the Adult Protective Services episode. And January 31st, again, we're just going to start with the timeline. We're not going to go very far in it, but it's nice to have something to look at. January 31st. It must have been a Saturday night, because the missing call came in on Sunday. So Saturday night, Nancy takes an Uber at 5:32 p.m. to Annie and Tommaso's house. That is really the last real proof we have of Nancy Guthrie. That's it. After that, we don't have any real proof that we know about. Okay, we're going to get into some of the nebulous stuff as well. All right, we're just working through this together, guys. 5:32 p.m. She's in an Uber, and the Uber driver happens to have video, audio, I'm not sure, but at least video of Nancy in the vehicle. And supposedly law enforcement has interviewed the Uber driver and they've questioned him. We know that the Uber driver took Nancy to Annie and Tommaso's house. After that, we don't know. We're only going off of supposedly what the family told law enforcement and then what we've gleaned from law enforcement, because the family hasn't really talked about that night. Okay, Savannah wasn't there. She's only talked about her getting the phone call on that Sunday. So we have an indication that something happened at 9:48 p.m. because that is when the garage door opens, and then at 9:50 p.m. the garage door closes. Now, I remember, and I think we're all on the same page here, guys, when this first thing happened, when this whole thing happened back when, I was immediately, and I know you all are the same way, there's something weird about that garage door. Let me know in the chat if you didn't have some question about that garage door opening at 9:48 and then closing at 9:50. And let me be clear. I know that some people commented after me talking Friday night on my last show about, taking care of Nancy. I mentioned cleaning soiled sheets, pee clothes, things like that. I don't know if Nancy had problems like that. I just know what it's like taking care of elderly people. Okay. And somebody thought I was saying that she had continence problem. I don't think she has continence problem, but we know she had mobility issues, and I know what it's like taking care of an older person. It's not glamorous. If you've got somebody who literally had to have a neighbor come and hang onto her arm just to get to the mailbox, I'm pretty sure that getting out of a car, which is difficult, especially SUVs, getting from the car into the garage and then getting into the house and then the garage door closing in 2 minutes. I don't know, guys, that was the very first thing I thought was, what is that? So we're going to talk about that because this could have been a staging. Okay. Now, next on the timeline is 1:30 to 2:30 a.m. Nancy is abducted. And yes, I think somebody commented that there was something with her pacemaker disconnected from her iPhone. And that's very interesting. And I'm not sure that, okay, so here, let me just put this up here. So Tattletale said, I thought law enforcement said that her GPS was attached to her phone, which was connected to her pacemaker. So I don't think that her phone, everything was left there. Her wallet, her keys, her phone, her Apple iWatch, everything was left there. And they have a time with which her pacemaker disconnected from her Apple iWatch and or phone. Okay. But yeah, that's a good point. See, there are so many things that could put a hole in this. But if this thing was planned, somebody could have brought her phone back at 9:48. I don't know. There's just a lot of questions, you guys, I have about whether or not she even returned, because this could have been completely staged. And I'm going to talk about the blood as well. Okay, so the garage door is a flag going up and coming down so quickly, in my opinion. There's been word out there that she did not take her 10 p.m. medicine. Why wouldn't she take her 10 p.m. medicine? If you have, blood issues or whatever, and my mom took Eliquis. I don't remember if she had to take that once or twice a day, but we had specific times that she took it. And in my opinion, if Nancy had medicine that she had to take at night, you don't go to bed without taking your PM medicine, period, because then you're doubling up the next day. So if she didn't take her 10 p.m. medicine, does that infer that she may not have been able to take her 10 p.m. medicine? And for the record, I think it's very possible that that this is just a scenario. I have not gone down it, and I already see holes in it. But again, I've not gone down this route, and I think it's worth looking at. I think that there's probably enough evidence to show that she was home, but I don't know if law enforcement gave us information to throw us off. We don't know what they've told us to throw us off, to hide things, to not be upfront and whatnot. If there was nefarious goings on, and let's just say that this was planned, because remember, we have Porch Guy showing up January 11th. And the last time we talked about this, yeah, that was recon, but was that a dry run? Was that a foiled actual attempt on January 11th for Porch Guy? And if that was a foiled attempt, and or if this was staged, because again, we knew we had to get rid of Nancy for whatever reason, there could have been a lot of planning going into that. Like, well, what about this? We know we have this. We know we have to deal with this. We have the medicine. We have the pacemaker. We have the phone. We have this. We have that. And we don't know how much real thought and planning went into this, as far as, making it look like was there an accident? Was there an argument that happened during dinner and game night on Saturday night? Was there an argument? Was there something that happened that was a total accident, something that wasn't planned? If you want to get really diabolical, somebody could have easily set this thing up, maybe even, I don't know, maybe even had the phone with her and the pacemaker, or, there's ways to also go in and change time on phones. As far as timing, you can go in and change, like if I'm on Central Standard Time, you can go in and change it to Eastern Time. There's supposedly even ways you can go in and change time on text. I don't know how to do that, but there are ways to go in and change times on cell phones. I haven't spent any time trying to do that myself, but it probably can be done if you've got somebody who knows what they're looking for and what they're doing. So we don't even know if she went back home. We don't know if there was maybe a disconnection of her pacemaker with her Apple iWatch or her cell phone that happened at a different time, and perhaps they changed something, if somebody knows how to do that. Now, I want to take a look at the blood on the porch, because, I have questions about that as well. And so what we're looking at right now is a post on X. Let me zoom in. And this is someone called Shanna X, and she does individual journalism, independent journalism as well. And so this is a post that she did 19 hours ago. And so what it says is discussing blood spray from the Nancy Guthrie case on Criminal Network and Ted Investigate. Looks like maybe she was on their show. So she says, my thoughts on the blood. That blood spray is a very small area and looks blown away from the home, not towards. In my opinion, Nancy may have been close to the ground level, either sitting or lying on the porch when this blood spatter occurred. There are several possibilities worth considering. Nancy could have suffered an injury during the abduction that caused blood to enter her airway or respiratory tract. If she were sitting or lying near ground level and someone attempted to lift or move her, that movement could potentially have triggered coughing and the expulsion of a small amount of blood onto the porch. She could have also coughed or sneezed from a nosebleed or mouth injury, accidentally hitting the door or another surface level, or been intentionally hit. Look at the scale using the 12 by 12 inch tile as a reference. The visible spray, not droplets, appears confined to a very small area with the heaviest concentration near the center. By my estimate from the image, the concentrated area may be roughly 3 inches across, with the overall visible pattern around 4 to 5 inches. The scale, concentration, and location of the pattern are all details worth considering when discussing what might have occurred on that porch. And I agree. So here's my question. And it kind of goes with the pacemaker. And I want to be very sensitive because, again, this is all speculation. It's dark. But we know there were some things we looked at Friday night about DJ Mojito and that crowd. And I don't even like saying the word, but they looked like they might have been some sort of ritualists. And again, this is going way off the deep end, and I'm not trying, I think it needs to be discussed, okay? If these people are into dark arts, this could be her blood, but could they have expressed it from something like a bulb or a turkey baster to stage the area? that pacemaker is going to keep going after she's gone. And the pacemaker doesn't necessarily need to be with her in order for it to be synced to the phone. Again, this is like really way out there. So I even apologize. I usually don't go down this type of way. But there's not a lot of blood on this porch. And I've seen people like Jeffrey Scott Morgan, body bags, Jeffrey Scott Morgan, and he thought this was a lot of blood. I didn't think this was a lot of blood for someone who's on blood thinners. And the way that it's sprayed, and if there is a direction, if you let me see if I can make this bigger. If we're looking at, I don't know if it'll go bigger or not. This one, it's hard to see. I don't think you guys can see. I mean, it does look like there's some directions, you know, but then a lot of them look like it's completely coming straight down. So I'd have to say, to me, this doesn't look like it's a spray toward the house or away from the house or sideways. They look like they're just dropped like straight up and down. And no, it's not a lot of blood. I've probably I get nosebleeds a lot, just from sinus and whatnot. And I've probably bled as much as that bigger area there if I just let it go. And if she's a bleeder, and the thing is supposedly the blood's only on the outside of the house. And there's no shoe prints in it. There's no drag marks. Again, I really feel like I'm going way out there with this one. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments, Courtney, you're way out, okay? And I get it. It sounds crazy. But Nancy may not have even had to have been at the house for this blood to be. Joe Scott Morgan. Thank you, Hazelnut. Yes, Joe Scott Morgan. I have names on the brain. Joe Scott Morgan, and I love him so much. Again, Nancy may not have had to have been at the house for this to be like this. There's not very much at all. And how do we know? I mean, supposedly there's something in Porch Guy's pocket. What do we know? That could have been a freaking squeeze bottle. We don't know what that was. When Porch Guy arrives, there's no blood. Well, and you know, he's doing something with that camera and those plants. And it doesn't show that there's any breakage into the house. I know that the back door was wide open, but that could be staging as well. We don't know that Nancy was even in this house at this point. And why is there only blood on the front porch? The inside of the house was pristine, no struggle. And I have to go back to Savannah saying that she was taken from her bed and she was taken out of the house in her pajamas with no shoes. And yes, there would be video of her leaving the house. And so if there is video, if Savannah has seen it, and if Savannah can corroborate that she saw her mother leave the house, and that's good enough for me. I think that there's probably a lot more evidence to show that Nancy was in the house. But again, because we don't know a lot of the details, we don't know. We are assuming she's in the house. But we don't know she's in the house. And, you know, there's somebody walking around the backyard, and everybody commented that this person, there's like 42 minutes that porch guy is supposedly there, that they've been able to figure out that there's 42 minutes from something to something, maybe between porch guy showing up on the camera and then her pacemaker disconnecting. There's 42 minutes. That's a lot of time when you are committing a crime. You want in and out. 42 minutes is enough time for a neighbor to have seen something weird, call the cops, and the cops, the fire department, notification, the SWAT team to show up. I mean, 42 minutes is a lot of time. Are the ads bad tonight, you guys? I'm sorry. I hate ads. I don't want you guys to be inconvenienced at all. Believe me. I ended up joining YouTube Premium because I can't stand the ads myself. So I'm sorry if you guys are getting a lot of ads. That's never my intention. Okay, so going back to, let's look at another picture of the blood spatter here. I mean, this is really the most blood that we see here. I think premium's like $20 a month, and you can have 5 family members. So if you've got people to split it, it's usually a little bit better. Then you don't have ads. Okay, so this is the most blood there really is. And if she's bleeding, she's not moving. She's not moving her head. She's not, there's no like dribble. There's no line of blood. There's no constant drip. It's just going poop, 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 poop. And I don't know. Do you think that that's really, if somebody's bleeding from their head? Now, if anyone has ever cut their head, your head bleeds a lot. It probably bleeds more than any other appendage on your body. It bleeds a lot, okay? Because all the blood flow is going to your brain. You bleed a lot from your head. So if they hit her and they believe this is expressed from her mouth or her nose, shouldn't there be more blood? And so this makes me just think that this is probably the easiest part. And they know 100% that this is just her blood. They've checked the DNA on this. This is just her DNA. There is no one else's mixed in. And it's just like plop, plop, plop. And it's 90-degree. It's just too perfect the way that it's just. And yeah, it could be nose or mouth. And people are thinking, totally coughing it up. But there's no drag to the dots. They're perfectly little drops, and they're dainty. And I don't know. It doesn't. And again, I'm sure it totally could be, but there's just that one area. There's just this area. There's no foot. If someone's carrying her, how did someone not walk through this? How did someone not walk? And if they're carrying her and she's head down, or if she's on her knees, 12 inches from the ground, there's no hand smear. There's no knee through the blood. It's very clean, is my point. It's very, very clean. It's like someone just dropped some blood and then that's it. They just flitted or flew over like a mosquito or something. And we don't know if they tested the plants at all. We have no idea. And the mat supposedly was still there. I don't know if they replaced it by now, but it doesn't, the front door, no one had a tool to open the door. We don't know how he got in the house. Remember, Nanos was asked, how did somebody get into the house? He wouldn't answer that. What if he said, nobody went in the house? No one went in the front door. What would that have done to our thought, our mind process? If he had said, nobody went in the front door. And again, this is all speculation and a lot of guessing. But I just have had questions. And, I think the one thing that kills us the most is going to be that cell phone disconnecting from her pacemaker. That's the one thing I cannot get away from that would show that she would have been in that home with her phone that was left behind. But again, it's just connected to her pacemaker. We don't know who took her, why they took her, and then what they did with her. If these are people from dark arts, we don't know. We don't know what happened. So then going back to the timeline, let me pull this back up. So really from Saturday night at 5:32 p.m. until almost noon the next day, that's a lot of time to do whatever you want. From then you could have driven up to Flagstaff and buried her in nature and driven back. If you left your cell phone, went in someone's car, put her in, an older van or something that doesn't have GPS, because that's how you have to commit a crime anymore, is get an older car that doesn't have a black box in it. And they do exist. So they have basically from the time she gets to the house until pretty much noon the next day before they have to react to anything. Yeah, she didn't show up for the church service to stream it. If the application for the pacemaker stopped, that doesn't mean Nancy passed. Exactly. The app might update within the day, record her pacemaker movement. I mean, you're exactly right. The only thing that is interesting is that they have blood from her that appeared supposedly before, this noon time when Annie gets to the house and they see the blood supposedly. So again, just speculating. So it's really 5:30 p.m. on Saturday night until noon the next day. And again, there's a lot of room for people to have done or taken or driven around. Let's see. There was some cardiologist at CrimeCon who went to the interview room meet and greet, and he had a major point about that pacemaker. And of course, I can't remember it. Okay. So I'm able to go back. If it was this CrimeCon, obviously it was because this just happened. I can go back and watch the videos. If it was a session, I can go back and see if I can find if there's one with the interview meet and greet, interview room. I know, Alpha, my mind is really bogged down too. And I think I'm second guessing myself. For the record, I feel like she probably was home. But again, we haven't talked about this. I haven't talked about this with you guys. And so it helps for me sometimes when I'm trying to come up with, content for my shows. I try to come up with, first of all, a concept, knowing that 90% of it, I'm winging. And I'll come up with some stories. But a lot of times as I'm talking through this with you guys, my brain gets going. No, the church group is not Wiccan. When I talk about Wiccan on our Friday night episode, we took a deep dive into some of the band members and people in this club scene. And the band members, they look like they're satanic worshipers. I mean, that's just DJ Mojito. He looks really not good. These are scary people. And I'm sure it's a persona. Well, I don't know if it's a persona. It looks pretty serious to me. And supposedly the poetry is very dark that Annie wrote. The songs, just the whole scene looks very dark. Yeah, it's scary. So yeah, tune into my Friday show. It was actually it was the longest show I've done. So, if we're talking down the route that if going into what we talked about Friday night with the family being involved and some of the band members and other band people from California crossing paths, Derek Colella saying, "Where's the Bitcoin?" Does that indicate that Derek Colella was expecting payment for doing a deed? And DJ Mojito may not be involved. He's just one of the characters that connects them. We're trying to connect Derek Colella with Tommaso because it looks pretty clear to me at this time that Derek Colella and Tommaso have crossed paths, probably know each other. And Derek Colella supposedly said that to law enforcement and attorneys and prosecutors in the court that he only texted Tommaso to see if the family would respond to his fake Bitcoin ransom attempt. But it actually looks like, if he was getting paid money, a Bitcoin, then he's the hired hand. And if Colella is a hired hand, and these people are all in this kind of group of dark arts, we don't know what could have possibly happened to Nancy. And there's some scary stuff out there. You don't have to dig very deep to find scary stuff. But why would you do that to somebody you know? Exactly, Alpha. I think that they're in cahoots for sure. There was indication, the way that was written is there was a previous conversation that looked like there was an understanding. So Annie and Tommaso, if they're on vacation in Italy, which is supposedly what they do every year, they are free to move about the country. They're not detained. They're not anything. And so with the child, unless something weird happens, and we probably have some sort of extradition agreement with Italy, maybe they're watching them. We don't know if they're even in Italy. We don't know anything. And part of the problem here is because, we've all been able to run completely wild. And part of it, I blame Nanos. Somebody wrote bananos in a comment, and I really like that. Bananos. So part of the reason why we're able to run rampant on this whole story is because Bananos, king of word salad, has told us so many different things and nothing has ever lined up, and different scenarios, that he's even thrown shade at this whole thing. Nonads. Yes. Nonads. Bananos is the latest one. Nonads is very common. All right. So let's just keep this in our little pea brains. I've got a couple videos that we can look at, and I'm going to remove this. And I'm going to reshare my screen so we can hear audio. And while I'm doing that, if you are new here, it looks like we have some new people, and I love that so much. If you can take this opportunity to subscribe. I try to go live 4 times a week. If I'm not going live, it's because I don't have an angle. I try to talk for about an hour at least, and I really want to come with an angle. I don't want to just sit and twiddle our thumbs. You guys are taking your time sitting through ads to watch what I have to say, and I thank you for that. So if I don't go live on a day, it's usually because I don't feel I have enough content with which to make you guys sit through ads. And I only want you here if there's something to talk about. So here's Ashley Banfield, and she's got on a reporter that's going to talk about some of the ransom notes still. And this reporter that we're going to see has actually seen the ransom notes, and there's some additional information that might be interesting. So let's watch a few minutes of this. I have a timestamp on 2 segments of this, so we're not going to watch the whole thing. Let's just see how it goes. So hold on.
Nobody was talking. So here's my conversation with Brianna. Brianna, it's so good to have you. I have been dying to talk to you. This has been 149 days coming.
Gosh, I know. It's been a long time coming. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, you're a hell of a reporter, kiddo. Honestly, I quoted you nonstop through so much of my coverage because you were finding out so much information. And there you came again just last week. You had the actual wording of the second note that had the apology. How did you get that?
Yeah, so in my former role with my reporting in Arizona, the Tucson station and then my Phoenix station worked hand in hand together. And those were where the notes were sent to the Tucson station. And so we were made aware of what they said throughout the investigation. And obviously we weren't reporting that information. We just wanted to protect the investigation as much as possible. Obviously, from then to now, we didn't know how this was going to turn out, or even really like the lack thereof being a whole lot more that's come. But we had them, we studied the language in them. I've been made aware of both of the verbiage language used in both the notes since they came in that first week. So we're talking that first week in February. And I've just had that information with me. And I honestly hemmed and hawed on when to share more about it. And I'm not sure if there's like any sort of playbook to follow at all in this case. Like, this is the craziest case in terms of how this has all gone. I think you've been right in it with me, so you're aware of just unprecedented in so many different ways. But once I saw that there were media outlets that were coming out with sources saying some of these details, and they were correct, I felt like at that point, and talking to my company now, we decided, like, I know what these say. I've known what they've said for months, and I want to make sure that I'm doing responsible reporting. And it felt like this is the time to make sure that accurate information is going out there. Like, this is what they say. This is the factual information. Yes, these sources, many of them were correct, that we're talking to other media outlets, but let's just set the record straight with what's in it. And that's why I decided to report that.
How was it among you and all your colleagues? Because again, it's really hard to be in a story and report a story. What was it like for all of you guys in those early days when you had this stuff and you weren't really allowed to tell the whole story?
I often say that February felt like a bit of a fever dream, being boots on the ground for this investigation. For one thing, it was like in that first week, it felt like everything was coming out in rapid time, right? We learned she was missing. Then there was a press conference. Then we had the porch guy abduction video and we truly thought in that moment.
So if this was staged, he's got that gun in the front, very, very visible. What if he had that gun as his own protection? His job is to go up, open the back door, squirt the blood on the front porch. We've got to stage it so it looks like Nancy is gone. That's only his job. He's not going to carry her out of the house. And everybody said that gun is really, really weird. Nobody carries that gun like that. What if he had that gun out there just for his own protection in case somebody saw him or walked up. Again, just speculation. And again, we don't know the whole text to Tommaso. Yes, weird. Too coincidental. Didn't even stay where he was supposed to send the money. They already knew where to send the money. Inside job, big time. And watching, and they're going to talk about it after this next timestamp with Ashley Banfield. They're going to talk about the fact that the first few weeks, Ashley Banfield had an insider that was telling her, no, it's the son-in-law. It's the son-in-law. He's the dude. And even after people came after Ashley and were giving her all of the hate in the world, she said, even after that, the guy kept saying, no, it's him. It's him. And then it just kind of, I think Ashley backed off because she was getting a lot of heat. Okay. But we're second guessing what Porch Guy's doing. But if he was just sent there to stage this, he looked so calm. He looked so calm. Why is he calm? Maybe he's not kidnapping anyone. Somebody's paying him to go, and in his right pocket, we think it's a signal jammer or a walkie-talkie. How do we know it's not some sort of a spray bottle? He's just got to spray the blood, open the back. Who opens the back doors and props them with flower pots, guys, and takes down the back light? I mean, there were specific things in the note. The Apple Watch is placed here. The light is knocked off. The this, the that. He may have had a laundry list of things he needed to do in that house. If that ransom note was written before this thing by a woman, he had a laundry list of things he needed to do to prepare the scene if there's a group involved.
Oh, they're going to get this guy really quickly. I mean, that video is super clear. It was so brazen. Surely somebody recognizes this person. And then we thought, okay, DNA evidence would be in there. And so when the notes were coming in, though, it was really like a group discussion of how are we going to best handle this. And I think it helped me with context, at least knowing what they said, to just be aware of it. I think at the end of the day, we still don't know if those are legit notes. Yes, we know Savannah says she believes that they are real, and we know the FBI is investigating them, but somewhat a grain of salt, like these could be not legit. So you have the information, you're protecting the investigation, trying to do the best I could with everything, and dealing with a public that demanded any little detail.
Yeah, and just anyone listening, this does sound far-fetched. I have no problem. It does sound ridiculous, but I feel like we have every right to discuss it. It totally sounds ridiculous. I couldn't agree more. But you know what? I'm going to touch on it. We have to.
24/7. I've never seen anything like that. It was hard. It was extremely challenging. It was emotionally taxing. Every time, though, that I would get to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is overwhelming. And we're working a bajillion hours a day, driving from Tucson to Phoenix back and forth every single day. I would stop and think, put yourself in Savannah Guthrie's shoes, because, oh my God, I feel so much for her.
I'm going to fast forward
what they're going through, this being so public, and the fact that she is one of us. She's a journalist. She reports on these things. I cannot imagine. And that kind of helped keep me afloat.
The phone. Terms for an exchange, like the money or actual protocol, like you put the money in the Bitcoin wallet and we will bring her to this bridge. Like, was it that detailed?
Somewhat. Yes, it was an exchange of, we will return her to Tucson. So yes, that exchange is in the first note, but it doesn't detail exactly like what that exact location was going to be. But it said she would be returned upon receiving the Bitcoin.
So the terms for the exchange were just the financial terms. It sounds like it wasn't like,
yes,
we're going to meet you halfway. She'll be in a burlap sack, or not. It was nothing like that.
Not to that extent. No, it just said she would be dropped off at a safe location or some type of location in the Tucson area, back in Tucson. But that it did not say like she'll be wearing this and we're going to be at mile marker 224.
Right.
And no, right. No. So it was definitely like, here's the plan on it. When you pay this, here's what we will do to return her to Tucson. And it does specifically note that she would be returned back to Tucson.
What gets in my craw, apart from all of it, was that first note arrived. Everyone says the next day, but the truth is it's almost 2 full days, right?
It's almost 2 days.
Yeah. Yes. She goes missing in the middle of the night, Saturday to Sunday. All of Sunday goes by. All of Monday goes by. And at 6:42 p.m., suddenly TMZ and 2 TV stations get the ransom note. And it makes me think, you sons of bitches, she was already dead and you sent out ransom notes anyway.
Which is
and I don't know. That detail is odd, that if they are legit, that first ransom note wouldn't have come out nearly immediately, right? I mean, that if your entire goal was
get money,
financial, then when you have wanted to get that going ASAP, one would think. So yeah, that detail is odd, and perhaps she was already dead. What's odd though is clearly there's obviously differing in language between ransom note 1 and then that second one that came in, between we will drop her off, pay the ransom, and the 2 deadlines, right? And we reported that long ago, that there was the 2 deadlines, versus that second note that came in saying she's passed. We underestimated the health condition. We're sorry. 2 very different tones there. So, if you're following the notes and you believe that they were going chronologically and being truthful, then she would have died in between there. But it's very possible what you bring up, that she'd already passed and they were like, well, we'll just keep this going for a little bit.
Well, I mean, I wonder what she perished shortly after she was taken means. I mean, what's shortly in your books? 2 full days? Because they had 2 full days before they sent, pushed send on those notes. So it does make me wonder if these folks are at odds with each other. So for instance, game this out with me. They grab Nancy Guthrie. Her heart is terrible. Obviously, she can't walk to the end of the driveway, as Savannah said, unaided. She needs her medication every 24 hours. So, by Monday morning, we're in trouble. And if she dies and the hard ass among them said, too bad, we're going ahead with the plan, send out the ransom note. How did it change so that 4 days later, somebody with the we're so sorry, gene decided to prevail and get that second note out? It makes me wonder if there's maybe not a whole lot of, harmony.
That could be. My other, just to throw another possibility in there is, did they want the coverage, the notoriety of it before?
So this is, I think I must have missed the time mark where she's talking about, how law enforcement had indicated that they had the prime suspect was the brother-in-law or the son-in-law, and that she was just getting, a lot of heat for that, but they stuck by it. And so it's hard to say. It's hard to say. And, and thanks, Sue. I appreciate your comment. You're probably already gone right now, but I do refer to other podcasters. I'm not boots on the ground. And so a lot of times I like to gather information and points that might help us to put things together. And so, if somebody isn't able to watch all of these shows, I do like to gather other things. And if I was boots on the ground, I could be doing independent journalism, but I'm not even a journalist. I really am here to look at things and, put ideas together and have free thought and free discussion. And not everybody likes my style, and that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of people in true crime, but not everybody you listen to is your cup of tea. And so that's why I think that it's good that we have so many different people, because, somebody who might have original content, who's there in Tucson might be better for some folks. So I know. And so, you know, I have very thick skin, and I certainly do not mind people being critical at all. And I welcome that, because it makes me think about things as well. So, you know, we don't know about the ransom notes. And here's the thing. We don't know about the ransom notes. I really would love to get to that part where she was talking about how her source, but I don't really want to spend too much time on that, because, you know, law enforcement has an idea of exactly what happened. And Maureen O'Connell is saying that they're getting close to Porch Guy. And once they do, the entire doors are going to open, and the floodgates will open. And then that's going to lead them back to, you know, the mastermind. And in my opinion, what that tells us is that Porch Guy, again, is just a worker bee. And if we really want to look at Porch Guy's behavior and look at the things that have caused us to things that have made us go, but every time she plays other people's videos for us to watch on her channel, but we watch those other channels. I don't know what channels you watch, Sue and Bauer, but I want to see other people's videos over. Oh, we don't want to see other people's. Okay, well, you know what? That's great. You don't have to. That's great. What I do want to talk about, so yeah, Naples Realtor. Don't go, Sue. Oh, good, you're still here. Sue is still here. She's hanging on. She just wants to talk about her feelings. And you know what, Sue? I want you to talk about your feelings. I really, really do. Okay, so the things that don't make sense. Here is what don't make sense. And that's not even the right type of grammar. Things that don't make sense. 2 minutes on the garage door does not make sense. Okay. If there is a video of Porch Guy coming up, he doesn't look excited. People thought he was on drugs. Maureen O'Connell thought he had smoked pot. He looks so calm. Why is he so calm? He looks like an idiot at the same time. So nobody feels like he's a professional. Okay. Oh, here's Sue. Sue's back. I'm having more fun with Sue at Frost Flower. When watching your channel, I don't want to watch same videos I've already seen on those other people's channels. Have your own stuff and theories. Frost Flower, do you have your own channel? I did not know that. I have to go to your channel. Thanks, Sue. Sue's still here, though. She's still here. I know. Please resubscribe, Sue. That's really what I'm hoping for. Okay, so the things that don't make sense, the 2 minutes in the garage, somebody even said it. If they have a video of a Porch Guy, where's the video of somebody pulling up in that circular driveway, a car going, where's the car showing Tommaso dropping her off? You know, at first Nano said that it was the son-in-law dropped off Nancy and walked her into the home. And Nano's only knew that from interviewing the family, supposedly. Okay. Then the next press conference of the 2 he's given in 5 months, he said someone in the family dropped her off. Okay. So he changed that story. Oh my gosh, Gladys, you're a new member. I even have a no member zone. Thank you, Gladys. I love you so much. Thank you so much. You know, my thing is I want you guys spending money on yourselves and on groceries. But thank you so much. I want to give you a shout out. That is so sweet. Oh, hi, Sue. If you can't take criticism positively, then I would assume your subscribers will decrease. Actually, no, I'm taking your criticism. I love your criticism. I am open. Hey, If I didn't like your criticism, I could have blocked you, but I believe in free speech. And you know what? Your words make me better. Go away, Sue. I like Sue. I like Sue. She's adding some flavor tonight. It's a sleepy Sunday night. Okay. Where's the video of Tommaso bringing Nancy home? If with all this stuff, with all the stuff going on, and Savannah in the interview with Hoda was she looked a little bristly when she felt that it was horrible that they were even having to defend her family. Okay. If they want to defend the family, give us some proof, because all they said was that Savannah said that she was glad that people could see who came to their front door. Okay. We could see that it wasn't Tommaso. Okay. So Yellow Dogs. No, Courtney, the question was, did the family see her in the home? Nano's answer is yes. But again, where did he get this information? He got this information supposedly from the family. I mean, there's some cameras in the house, baby. But and again, we're going from, it's all speculation. We've been given nothing. And if people are tired of people speculating, we're going to speculate, because that's all we can do until this crime is solved. And do you know why we speculate and we go down these rabbit holes? Because we care about Nancy. I care about Nancy. And I am going to be uncomfortable, and I'm going to say weird things. I think tonight I've said the weirdest things ever when I was talking earlier about some of the things that we could look at, some of the ugliness in the world. And yeah, I feel I don't even want to say it. I'm going to drop that, but it's just, these things can happen. We don't know why Porch Guy was so calm. And let's think about it from a human standpoint. Okay. He doesn't look professional. He doesn't look professional. He looks like an idiot. Okay. He's very calm. He's doing stuff with shrubbery. That's weird. He's got a holster in the front. And I almost wonder if the holster in the front could be just to show anybody who walks up for his own protection, because that's an intimidator. It's not like he even has to hide. Hey, I've got a weapon. What if he's calm? Because all he has to, there's no danger in what he's doing other than someone walking up on him. That's the most dangerous thing that could happen, is somebody walking up on him or calling the police. He's in the house for 42 minutes. Who's in the house for 42 minutes? Does it take 42 minutes to walk in and take an old lady? If he's not stealing something, he knocked a backlight out. He opened the door and propped him with pots, little plant pots. The front door doesn't look like it was broken into. There's blood that's looks like it could almost, and this is just guessing, conjecture, could have almost squirted it out. How do we know that there wasn't something in his pocket that he was going to pull out and squeeze the blood out? There's no blood in the house. There's no crime scene in the house. There's no upended tables. He's very calm. He looks like he's just doing an errand. He looks like he's delivering someone's In-N-Out burger meal. That's what he looks like he could be doing, walking up and delivering food. And I think that there is no time stamp for the 42 minutes. It's just, it seems like somebody heard, and I think that that's connecting maybe him being seen, and we don't see the time stamps. like when porch guy walks up there, I'm just going off of what I recall. Okay, let me just be clear about that. And I might be completely wrong, and please correct me. I thought that we were going off of what time porch guy looks like he's in the front of the house. And then Sue left. Did Sue leave? You guys, she's throwing me off my game tonight. I liked Sue. I want Sue to stay. Serious, I'm being totally serious. I appreciate Sue. I don't want to lean on other people's podcasts, but people might be using my podcast too. And I'm happy if they use my podcast. So thank you, Naples. And if anyone would like to know, I'm going to tell you a secret. Naples Realtor Pilot is Crunchy Sissy. This is Crime Crunchy Sissy. This is my sister, Tanya, in Naples, Florida. She is the flying realtor. She's a private pilot, and she's a realtor in Naples, Florida. And she's watching tonight because her husband, who is an American Airlines pilot, is in South America, and she's Crunchy Sissy. You guys met her when I was in Vegas. So thank you, Crunchy Sissy. I'm sorry Sue left. I hope she's still there. Yes, the one from Vegas. That's Naples pilot realtor. Yes, that's Crunchy Sissy. Boomer mentioned me today. What? Tell me, J-Dub. What? I might have to find Boomer. No, he did not. Did he mention me? You're making that up. I'm fine with that. I want people to use my stuff. Yes, Joe goes way back. Yes. Hey, what do they say? Something about something is the highest compliment when you copy someone. That's the highest compliment. So, okay, I'm going to have to look for Boomer. Okay, so we're going back through. Sorry, you guys. I'm really stretched tonight. Thank you for sticking up for me, you guys. I love you so much. I know we form our own, and imitation is the highest sign of flattery, something like that. Imitation is a serious form of flattery, and it's not imitating, it's just leaning on each other, because there might be something that a soundbite that I do say or I come up with that maybe somebody hadn't thought of before. Okay. Yes, all of that stuff. Yes. So the things that don't make sense, really, it's just, okay, let's go through this from human nature. Okay, this is where I'm going to dig into human nature. If somebody is not a professional creep, and I've been paid to do a job, and I have to go kidnap an old lady, I'm going to be a wee tad nervous. I'm probably going to be acting not myself, unless I'm just really a psychopath. That's what everybody thought. He's either a psychopath or he's on drugs. And just the calmness, he was laid back. It just seemed like the whole thing is just weird, guys. It's just weird. And I cannot see 2 minutes, garage door being signaled up, 2 minutes signaled up. If someone pushed a button at 9:48, about 15 seconds for the door to go up, she'd have to have gotten out of the car. And did she have a walker? Probably at least, or a cane. Okay, maybe a cane. But then walking, tootling through the garage, her car was in the garage, walking around the garage. She could have leaned on the car to get to the door. I don't know. Maybe she could have done it in 2 seconds. I might have to come up with fresh content, and maybe what I'll do is I will film myself opening my garage doors and getting out with a cane, and then walking into my garage and then shutting the door. Maybe that's what I'll do. And the fact that Dr. Brocato had mentioned that the notes could have been written before this thing even happened. He specifically stated Dr. Brucato specifically stated that there were things in the note that only someone who was in the room would know. And he said specifically, it could have been written before, and then things put in the room that were said in the note, because as we just saw, Ashley Banfield noticed that she goes missing in the night, last seen Saturday night, noticed missing Sunday morning, and the ransom notes don't come out until February 2nd. Where's my timeline? February 2nd, the local TV station receives the first ransom note February 2nd. So she's been gone for 24, 48 hours potentially. Last seen 48 hours before, if the local TV station in Tucson receives that note Tuesday or Monday night at 6:42 p.m. or 6:45 p.m. And at that time, she was probably already dead. So why send a note? Are they still carrying on as though she's alive? Or was the note written before the entire crime was committed and Porch Guy is there just to stage the crime? He's a home stager before you photograph your home and put it on the MLS. That's basically all he had, was 5 things he had to do: open the back door, crash the light out, tear the camera off in the front, squirt the blood. Okay. And yes, is there blood in the house? Is there blood on the inside of the floor? Everybody I've seen says there's no blood on the inside of the house. There's one show I watched where somebody said that they had heard there was blood on the inside of the front door, but every other show said the inside was pristine and you would never know that a crime scene even happened. And that's why law enforcement took it as a walk-off that first day. It just looked like the old lady walked off. With my mother, it happens at the moment she gets out of the car. She has to stand there and regain her footing. Yes. Many streamers have mentioned you. The interview room is your nano salad. Yes, his word salad. I'm serious. There was one time I listened to him talk and I was like, what the, or I think I read a quote. I said, what the heck did he just say? And I've actually had somebody who commented that her uncle was one of the first law enforcement responders to Nancy's house. And he told her that Annie kept trying to tell them that she was kidnapped. Another thing that doesn't quite add up, and I hope Crunchy Sissy is still on. Crunchy Sissy, let me know if you're still there. Crunchy lived in another state, 12 hours away. We would meet 6 hours each drive, and we would hand our mother off. And we would say, you have custody of Nana now. Bye, Nana. And then Crunchy Sissy would take Nana for a couple months, and then we'd drive, and I would take Nana back from Crunchy Sissy. Okay. So if I had Nana, oh, there's Crunchy Sissy. Hi, Crunchy Sissy. She's still there. If I had custody of Nana, because I had it after she had her stroke, there was a night I woke up for some reason. I don't know what I was doing. I walked out the living room and I look out literally and just see my mother standing in her nightgown in like December. It was terrifying. If I walk out in my house and I cannot find my mother, and yes, I'm not calling a lot of people would say, no, I'm calling 911 first. No, I'm calling Crunchy Sissy. Crunchy Sissy. What's going on? I can't find Nana. Did she call you? Have you talked to her? How was she sounding? I'm sorry. I'm calling my sister in another state, and then I'm calling 911. And I think, Crunchy Sissy, tell me, what would you have done if you had walked and Nana was missing? Would you have called 911, or at least very soon have called me? I feel like even if you call 911 first, you're going to call the siblings next. Supposedly, Savannah wasn't called until much later, hours later, because she had come from Carson's, and everyone was like, Carson Daly, the guy she works with. Yes, she'd come from Carson's, end of the day, they'd hung out all day, afternoon. And so Crunchy Sissy says correct. She would have called me and or 911 relatively soon. Called and sent it to Sue. Yes, we would have called Sue. Oh, Tanya says she would have called me first. Got it. Me too. I'm calling my sister. We used to talk all on the phone. She would be on the phone with my mom, vice versa. So why would Annie wait hours to call Savannah? I'm sorry. The cops at the time are doing their investigation. And even if they thought it was a walk-off, they couldn't have been spending that much time with Annie at that moment. That she's hung up for hours with the cops to the point where she can't. I bet the cops would have told her, why don't you call your siblings and see if they heard from your mother? They probably would have suggested that. So why did Annie wait hours and hours and hours before she called her sister? And at that point, it was, she's totally missing. You guys need to fly here. Is it that serious that I'm going to tell my sister, who's getting ready to leave for Italy and open the Olympics, that it's so serious she needs to fly here? And my brother? And we don't have the 911 call. They've not shared the 911 call with us. We don't know what that is. From Annie. We have heard, there are videos out there, and if you guys want me to play one next time, you might have already heard them. There are scanner recordings of law enforcement getting the call. It's basically dispatch calling out to units saying 84-year-old woman, here's the address, go here. So that to me is a red flag that Annie waited hours to call her sister. And I don't know, if I couldn't find my mom, Joe, I believe it was just after 12 that Annie called Savannah or called the cops. I'm just going to clarify that, because I thought she didn't call Savannah until later that afternoon, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, so the 911 call, yes, was just after 12, and we hear the dispatch calling the units to respond. Okay, so we've got that one. We don't have Annie's 911 call. Correct me if I'm wrong, if there is anything from Annie that somebody's heard, because I would have imagined that would be all over everywhere, and I would have seen it. So, and again, going back to statistics, the fact that this is an 84-year-old woman, statistics show that if an 84-year-old woman is going to go missing, it's the family. Sandy, I have 3 sisters, and we kept in touch by phone every day about mom. We had certain days when one would go there. We all lived in a different town, and if something was off, we took care of it. She was 93. And my mother had, she could walk, but she had mobility issues. She couldn't walk long distances. She had a walker, but we did have a life alert for her. So if she fell, she could call 911. We didn't have cameras, but she had a necklace that she wore everywhere. And someone was always home with her, either at my sister's house or my house. There's always somebody home with her. She was never alone. But she had a life alert. We made sure that she had a life alert because we had to. Yeah, we had to do something. So, again, we don't really know if Nancy even made it home from the Saturday night dinner. After the Uber drive to Annie's house, it looks like she probably was home, okay, with the phone and the watch and the pacemaker. I think, to me, is the biggest evidence that she was home because of when it disconnected from Bluetooth. It's almost like you could tell that she was being driven away. So I'm going to say that it's probably, 90% that Nancy was home, like we thought she was, but we don't know. And there are a few things that could indicate she was not home that time. And there could be a few things to indicate the porch guy was merely there as to help stage. The blood, if there were two people, fireman carry out, upside down, unconscious, yes, I could see that the blood dripped at a 90-degree angle if she was being carried out. Absolutely. But there's no drips or drags of blood, which I would think that there could be at least some. There's no footprint. If you've got two people carrying a heavy body, why is there no shoe drag, scuff, no drag through that blood? That blood is untouched. And that bothers me. I don't understand how that blood is not touched. There's no hand, there's no shoe, there's no clothing. If you've got two people, that's 4 feet. And the way the door opens, if the blood is going there, the person that's got her feet has to walk through that area at the very least. At the very least, the guy who's got her feet is walking through that area. And if she's heavy, his feet are going to be very heavy on the ground, and there's going to be some dragging of either the front of his shoe or the back of his shoe or the side of his shoe, the door. And that blood is untouched. It's untouched, and there's not that much of it. And even somebody here said that, I think that they said they work in a doctor's office. And if you're hit in the head, that's the most blood is going to gush. Now, I thought that there were shoe prints as well. Somebody mentioned that little cluster of 6, the little 6 diamonds. Somebody even mentioned that looked like it could even be a wheel from a walker that has like the little wheel with the seat. Or is it the back of a shoe? Yes, we've looked at all of those things. But even then, there's only that one spot. That one spot. And yeah, it could totally be a wheel. And again, this is all speculation. I just, it's just so odd. It could be a wheel. It could be a shoe. It could be a this. It could be a that, or it could be nothing. Yeah, Nancy probably did have help, and I'm sure that they've already interviewed anybody who was in that house, at least in the last year, up to 10 years, they would have found and interviewed. Yes, and this was brilliant. I have to give Chris McDonough huge props because he did an excellent job of not only just going by Nancy's house, but he went to where Annie works from her home And that Circle K, by the way, that the cops went into and got video is the Circle K that's down on the corner of Annie and Tommaso's house. But I mean, it could be innocent. They could have just been doing an investigation and following that up because that's where they live. But again, I think that the weirdest things at this point are definitely the text from Derek Kalala. I had never, until we had our watch party Friday night, and we're watching Monks, and that really opened my eyes to think that this whole text from Kalala for the Bitcoin was a payment for the job. And that feels like a piece of the puzzle being put in. Okay, well, it is, I know that interview room is coming on at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, and I know that you guys have things that you need to do, probably have some dinner and whatnot, but I thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and I want to thank our 2 members. I'm not huge on members. I don't want you guys spending your money on, I do this because I love doing this, okay? But I want to thank Joe. He was my first member, and Gladys Kravitz. Isn't that from Bewitched? Gladys Kravitz, wasn't that the name? Thank you so much for becoming a member. That's very thoughtful. So thank you so much again, everybody, for showing up. And we'll just, we're just going to stay on it. And I'm going to just continue, I'm going to just continue looking down every path, even if it's weird, if I'm going way out there. I could be going way out on a bender. And I'll apologize. But I'm going to go out on a bender. And that's what we're going to do. We got to look at it all, guys, until this thing is solved. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and the family's not involved, sincerely. I don't want Savannah and Cam to be hurt by this. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful night. Don't forget to subscribe and hit your notification bell. I will catch you on the flip side. Toodaloo.